Activism comes in many forms. What do you think of when you think of activism? I used to think that activism was only demonstrative acts like marching, protesting, handing out flyers, or obtaining petition signatures. However, these forms of activism are geared towards extroverted individuals. For many introverts, these activities contribute to sensory overload and are very draining. Events that energize extroverts, like participating in a campaign or marching in a rally or going door to door, can make introverts feel tired and irritable and overall unwell. And even though introverts make up an estimated 25 to 40% of the population, the majority of the world is designed for extroverts. From our school system to work environments to campaigning for a good cause, these activities are geared towards extroverts, and we're told that something is wrong with us for feeling the way we do. This isn't a new phenomenon. Susan Cain, author of Quiet, stated that historically societies have preferred individuals of action rather than contemplation. As she describes it, Western society is based on Greco-Roman ideals of a person who can speak well, a rhetorical ideal. But even with these limitations, we can participate in making a change through quiet activism. What's quiet activism? Quiet activism is a form of activism that can harness change, but in a way that doesn't follow the typical loud and overt path. One example is the Craftivist movement. American writer and crafter Betsy Greer coined the term Craftivism in 2003. Craftivism is a form of activism incorporating elements of anti-capitalism, environmentalism, and third-wave feminism. Sarah Corbett, an award-winning campaigner, started the Craftivist Collective. Their motto is, changing our world one stitch at a time. The Craftivist Collective is a group of individuals who, according to her website, are an inclusive group of people committed to using thoughtful, beautiful, crafted works to help themselves and encourage others to be the positive change they wish to see in the world. These groups use tools and projects to drive change. Some examples include a handkerchief cross-stitched with the words, "Don't blow it." There's also knit bombs, which provide symbols and messaging through knitwork displayed on telephone poles. Sarah started this movement because she was feeling burnt out and questioning the effectiveness of activism conducted through confrontation. This group is now extremely successful, and Sarah has delivered talks, workshops, and events to over 12,000 people around the world. Sarah Corbett gave a TED Talk about crafting as activism and stated that it can help introverts because it allows a way for introverts to be involved in activism without having to maintain eye contact. I would like to draw a parallel between the Craftivist movement and running. Running is a form of quiet activism. How do runners participate in quiet activism? First, by showing up. Each time a runner puts one foot in front of the other, he or she is showing what a runner looks like. Let's go back to 1967, when Kathrine Switzer became the first woman to run the Boston Marathon. The race director, Jacques Semple, attempted to stop Switzer by grabbing her bib and knocking her off course. However, Switzer continued to the finish and became the first woman to finish the Boston Marathon. Even still, it wasn't until 1972 that women were allowed to run in the Boston Marathon officially. Can you imagine? 1972 was only 47 years ago, and our society was in a time in which women weren't even allowed to participate in the sport of running. Which means for girls growing up during this time, they didn't have women runners as role models. They didn't see individuals who looked like them participating in the sport, which made it difficult for them to envision themselves as a runner. Psychologist Lisa Firestone, Director of Research and Education at the Glendon Association, conducted a study that found the most common critical thought people had towards themselves were that they were not like other people. We are social creatures who want to feel like others. But when we feel like we don't fit in, it can contribute to shame. Fast forward to today. According to a study by RunnerClick, 45.7% of American marathon participants are women. How do we get from 0 women runners in 1967 to 45.7% in 2019? By showing up, runners can quietly educate others. They can provide a subtle shift in the way we see things to offer a new perspective. When he or she shares an image on social media of themselves running, they are reframing the hegemonic normative of what it means to be a runner. However, we still have a lot of work to do. While women make up almost half of runners, what about body image and size? When I was in elementary school, kids would shout boom, bada boom when I ran. The constant ridicule made me take a back seat when it came to any physical activity. I begged my mom to write me notes to get out of PE class, and when that didn't work, I would purposefully injure myself and go to a school nurse for an excuse. I couldn't wait till high school when PE was no longer required. Needless to say, I never pictured myself as a runner. This body couldn't run. I was a chubby kid and obese adult. I had never seen anyone my shape or size running. At the age of 22, I was obese and I smoked. In 1999, I resigned that I would need some type of physical activity to get healthy. I started running because it was the cheapest form of activity I could think of. I didn't need a gym membership or fancy equipment, but I didn't consider myself a runner. I ran a half marathon. Still didn't consider myself a runner. You see, runners didn't look like me. How can I be a runner when I had fat rolls and cellulite and I didn't love running? I did it out of obligation to stay healthy. I wasn't like those skinny tan athletes with defined abs and sunny attitudes, but I only recently began to think of myself as a runner. I'm slow, painfully slow. I'm embarrassed that the average finish time for women aged 40 to 49 is 4 hours and 23 minutes, yet my average time is 5.5 hours. There are mornings when I dread getting out the door, and I've had runs where my legs felt like bricks. The images of runners on Instagram show smiling athletes who are primarily white, thin, and fast. They share their personal best times and beautiful images of themselves running, while in every race picture I look like I'm dying. We need runners to be open and honest with their running experiences and their bodies. Think about the Humans of New York. According to the Humans of New York website, this started as a photography project in 2010, and the goal was to photograph 10,000 New Yorkers on the street and create an exhaustive catalog of the city's inhabitants. The authors began to interview individuals and would put a quote next to their portrait. The quotes and photographs then became a blog. This small movement started as a quiet way to educate others on the human condition, leveraging social media as a platform. We can do the same with the running community. We can show others that runners come in all shapes and sizes. This may just inspire others to participate in the sport who wouldn't have otherwise. My passion is promoting that runners come in every shape and size, that being fat isn't a condition that needs to be solved. This is why I started Fativism, activism, and promoting healthy body image at any size. Because the representation of women in the media and popular culture continuously perpetuates the tropes of women as objects of sexual desire, dowdy housewives, or the fat friend, or the self-deprecating, self-loathing, awkward in love, overweight heroine. The media does not do a good job portraying women of all shapes and sizes. We see skinny women in fitness magazines and running magazines. We see thin women on Instagram bragging about their race times. But what about the rest of us? We need to provide visual representation that women with larger bodies are not on the sidelines. We are in this together. Being active doesn't necessarily mean having a thin body, and being larger doesn't equate to a lack of physical fitness. We need to reframe the hegemonic normative image of the thin woman runner and the inactive lazy fat person. We need to show that women of all sizes can run, be active, and fit. And I hope to do this through Fativism. But how can we all do this? By showing up. Each time we show up, we are providing a visual depiction of a runner and helping reframe the hegemonic normative image. We can share our experiences. Even though I've been embarrassed about my slow race times and unflattering running pictures, I've shared them. It's important that we not only share our positive experiences, but also the bad, and be open and honest. It may just inspire someone who didn't think of themselves as a runner, and you may just inspire a young girl, a girl who hates PE and who's made fun of for her weight and who always thought that she couldn't run. I have 3 calls of action today. First, look outside the typical activism paths and think more broadly. You can educate others and bring awareness to issues through action versus just talking about it. Secondly, ask yourself, what is your area of passion? If you want to help bring running to young girls, consider becoming a coach for Girls on the Run or raising funds through the organization through running. Third, show up. You may not be comfortable shouting your beliefs from the rooftop. I know I'm not. But you can provide a visual representation and a voice to your area of passion. My name is Stacy, and running is my activism. What's yours?